Hello guys, and welcome back to a new episode of F1 2017 Ultimate Career Mode. In this series, we're going to be traveling between F1 2017 all the way up until possibly F1 2022 or F1 23 when it eventually releases. Right now, we're racing for Toro Rosso, and today we're going to be racing at China. I personally have a love-hate relationship with this track, but now let's pass it over to David Croft.
Join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China. Drivers tend to complain about tyre wear around this track, and the compounds on offer this weekend aren't likely to put that issue to bed. Is this going to be about who can make the tyres last?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
Alrighty, thank you for that information. Now we are going to take to our first ever lap of this circuit. Well, actually not our first lap, our first qualifying lap of the circuit. Now, admittedly, this long straightaway is really great for overtaking as long as you have the power, which this Toro Rosso, oddly enough, even though with having the engine that it has, does not have as much power as I thought it would. So that might be a small issue at this track, but we'll see in the long run. So going on to this first lap, the first corner of this circuit is always a little bit tricky. However, once you have it nailed down, you basically can get it right almost every time. Oddly enough, I'm usually faster through this part of the circuit than a lot of the other AI is, which is odd. Now as we head down here, there's a really long left-hander that is also pretty difficult to nail most of the time. Very long left-hander that you can take in 6th or 7th gear. You may have to lift off and then immediately into a right-hander that you have to brake forward pretty early, so that way you can shift down enough so you can get into the small little turn there, then going back down to this very difficult turn where you have to stop all the way as far as you can, however, while also not completely spinning the car and getting into this long right-hander over here on the side, eventually getting down into the long straightaway. That is, again, a perfect opportunity for overtaking. Now on this lap, I wasn't the greatest on this lap, however, on my second lap, I was a lot better than that, and you will see that later. Thank you for that information, Jeff. And as you can see, we already got up to P7 with that qualifying lap, which is pretty good. It shows some promising skills that we have that we also showed in Australia. However, we will see how much more that progresses throughout the entirety of this race.
Expect to potentially see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
Thank you, Jeff, for that weather update information. And that is also good to know that there will be rain later on in the race, which you will also see later on in qualifying as well, which is a very helpful thing to know. And you can see it really kind of screws us over in qualifying too once we get over there. As you can see from the results from qualifying 1, we did astronomically better than Daniel Kvyat. However, that does not seem to be the case when we reach into qualifying 2. Heading into quality 2, you can see it is a little bit more wet and slippery around here this time, which is not very helpful for me. As you can see, I skipped ahead in this qualifying lap. The car in this is very unruly, very hard to handle, as all Codemasters games are usually very hard to handle in the rain, which seems to be a very odd issue that they tend to have. As you can see, I have to use a lot more steering angle and have to be a lot lighter on the throttle, otherwise I can tend to spin the car around. And as you can see, entering this long left-hander, it's also very difficult to do, having to shift down a gear or two more than you usually would.
Your times are down on Daniel's. Daniel is faster.
And as you can see from hearing from our crew chief, even Daniel Kvyat is faster than us, which is not good. However, the AI always seem to be stronger in the rain, which is another big flaw with this game, unless you really know how to drive these cars in the rain. And you can see, even heading onto the long straightaway, you can sometimes get a little bit unruly with the car. These intermediate tires, you would think that they would give you a little bit more traction, but really they don't, especially if they're cold. As you can see, we had to brake a lot earlier there as well, and having to use a lot more steering angle just to get around that corner. Even getting into this short little left-hander here can be difficult sometimes. And once we finish this, you can see just a tiny bit of oversteer, and as you can see, once we finish, we end up in P15, which is not the result we are looking for, but surely we can do better than that. As you can see, that hurt our reputation a little bit. However, that shouldn't be a big problem later on.
Hello. I just wanted to pass on the team's expectations for this race. Good luck.
So it looks like our agent is telling us that we have to beat Daniel Kvyat and also be better than 12th place or 13th place, which I think we can perfectly match that.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. It's where Lewis Hamilton effectively lost the title in his rookie year, and it's where Nico Rosberg claimed Mercedes' first win of the modern era in 2012. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1, and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. Joining me once again to take you through this race is the effervescent Anthony Davidson, and I'm very much looking forward to it getting underway. You raced here, of course, didn't you, back in your Super Aguri days in that infamous Chinese Grand Prix of 2007?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't last that long though, unfortunately. Qualifying had gone pretty well, but my brakes failed quite early in the race, around lap 10 or 11, something like that. And of course, back in 2004, I was the very first Formula 1 driver to complete a lap of this circuit. Just thought I'd mention that for you, Crofty. You like a good stat. It's a fairly tough circuit on the brakes here, though. You know, there's that long back straight down into turn 14, and then you got turns 6 and 11. They're quite heavy as well. On top of that, managing your front tyre wear is always a challenge around here, so there's a lot to keep in mind during the Grand Prix.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Nico Hülkenberg and Grosjean, Perez, Ocon, Massa and Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Verstappen, Toro Rosso and Palmer, Magnussen, Stroll, Stoffel Van Dorn and Daniel Kvyat. Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We're not where we expected. Aim to improve our position with a strong start.
So, hearing from Jeff, we can see that we were not in the place that we wanted to be. However, surprisingly enough, it seems like Daniel Kvyat had a penalty, which was honestly something quite unexpected to see. Just changing up a bit of the strategy here. I like to overfuel the car. Getting into the formation lap here. It's always very interesting on these formation laps. Trying not to hit the other cars, as the AI is not always the greatest.
Everything looks good on the power unit cycle, so let's concentrate on bringing tyres and brakes up to temperature.
So as we start to reach the end of this formation lap, you can see we lose car control at the end, and what I mean by that is that the game actually takes over, unlike how the newer F1 games have it. So no getting to choose that perfect angle for the starts. However, we do get that formation lap in, which will be good for heating up our tires as we all start to form up. We have to wait for the rest of the grid to form up, even though we aren't in that high of a position in the first place.
The rest of the grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
Alright, as we get ready, 5 red lights, and away we go for the 2017 Chinese Grand Prix in this Toro Rosso. We can see we don't get the best start as we get caught up the side. You can see all those little red arrows on the screen as people keep catching up to us. Seems like we're going to get passed by Alonso on the side, but no, we absolutely send it into the first corner, getting around the rest of the AI who take it a lot slower as they take that inside line. So that slots us in right behind what looks to be Ricardo. Bottas making a great start off the line as well. Heading into this little spot here, we're able to possibly overtake Ricardo, which it looks like we are able to, which is going to be absolutely perfect for our race. Starting to catch up to Ocon here a little bit. Ocon is always a little bit of a difficult one to deal with. However, he might not be in the rest of the race. Seem to be keeping up with Ocon. However, he does seem to put up quite a fight. Always quite risky, this AI on this game. However, not as risky as the newer games like F1 22. Going for an absolute dive bomb down the inside into the final chicane here, and as you can see, we seem to make it out. But for what reason do we seem to make it out of this corner, and Ocon is left behind in the dust? Take that turn a little bit wide, but that's fine. Penalty system on this game is not always entirely the greatest.
Okay, clear.
And it seems like possibly Esteban Ocon is out of the race as well. I wonder what happened there. Possibly damaged wing or maybe engine failure, who knows. All we know now is that we need to keep our head down and just head for the rest of the cars. Big lunge down the inside, but it didn't seem to make it stick, however. Trying to see if we can keep up with what looks like Sergio Perez up ahead, who is still in the pink in this year. F1 2017 was actually a pretty good year. Admittedly, I love the look of these cars, and as much as people say they don't like the V6 sounds, honestly, the V6s aren't that bad.
Some information on Van Dorn. They're retiring from the race.
And it seems like we have another retirement from the race. Stoffel Van Dorn, very odd retirement as we pass by Sergio Perez as well.
DRS is now enabled and will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
DRS now enabled, which will allow us to catch up to the car ahead, which will be very good to know as we try and overtake all around the outside. However, it doesn't seem to make it stick. As you can see, catching up to Hulkenberg ahead. However, we are not able to pass him into that little corner right there. Maybe we might be able to pass him around the outside of this corner here, but it seems like he's just able to pull away. The Renault engine actually quite powerful in this era, which is an odd thing to see. As we try and overtake him, we overtake him into that corner there, gives us a little bump, which causes us to raise our hand saying, Hulkenberg, what the hell are you doing? Even though we clearly went down the inside of him, and I will admit that was a bit of my problem if there was contact.
2.0 seconds.
As you can see, Hulkenberg still close behind us. He's quite a formidable foe in this era, and to see him back in 2023 will definitely be quite a treat to see.
Place is 10.1 seconds.
As you can see above, it looks like the clouds are actually getting a little bit darker as we start to catch up to Daniel Ricciardo ahead. Could that possibly mean rain throughout the rest of the race? Who knows what could happen? As we see with that lunge, we are able to catch up to Ricciardo a little bit. However, we cannot pass him on the inside, as it is really tricky to pass down the inside of that corner right there. As you can see, trying to catch him in the same spot we tried to catch Hulkenberg, and it does not seem to work this time, as Ricciardo is actually quite fast in that Red Bull, admittedly. Could we possibly catch him into the next corner? It doesn't seem like we're close enough to be able to catch him. However, we are able to get close enough where we might even be in DRS range for the long straightaway up ahead.
Looks like rain is inbound and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes until the rain.
And it looks like Jeff has confirmed that there will be rain as we try and overtake Ricciardo down the inside of this big hairpin right here. And it does seem like we are going to make it stick, shutting the door on him right on the inside so that way he cannot pass through and catch me on the switchback.
watch the conditions. We think there's rain coming pretty soon.
Fast forwarding ahead, you can see again we get another report from Jeff saying that there's going to be rain soon, which means this race could be a total shakeup. Who knows what will happen, as I'm getting a lot closer to my pit stop range. So, will I go on the intermediate tires if it becomes that bad? And it looks like possibly teammate in the pits, looks like it will be Daniel Kvyat coming into the pits currently. Wonder what tire he's going to be going on for the possible rain that may be coming in the rest of this race.
Daniel is pitting. The gap to the car ahead is 8.2 seconds.
As you can see, my tires are a little bit worn out as I struggle for grip. These super soft tires tend to fall off very quickly. As you can see going down the straightaway, it looks like we have a Red Bull in our sights trying to get onto us, which means that these tires are definitely falling off a lot more than I thought they would be currently. However, that's the risk you take by going onto the super soft tires.
So the gap to our teammate is 34.0 seconds.
As you can see, fast forwarding in here, you can see those little raindrops on the our windscreen, which means that technically the rain is indeed here. Now the game doesn't kick in immediately, and there is a small transition period of the rain before it becomes too slick. However, it does still cause us to lose a little bit of traction as we see that Red Bull in our sights right behind us. Not going for a pit stop this lap, but maybe next lap we're going to be going for the pit stop and possibly tossing on the intermediate tires to maybe get an undercut strategy on the rest of the field. As you can see, this rain making it a little bit harder to get traction around these more tricky, long, fast corners, which possibly running a higher downforce setup would have helped with that. However, I decided to run with a more balanced setup for this race to try and keep it a little bit more with the top speed, considering this car, oddly enough, does not have the top speed you would expect it would. As you can see, another car going for a big lunge on us. That looks like it is Bottas, actually, who is going on us. Coming in for a pit stop this lap, we're going to hop on the intermediate tires. While it may not seem like the greatest idea right away, it is going to be good for the long run, considering how this rain is going to keep coming down and down and down later into the race, possibly.
Release. Okay, you only have to stop once now. One stop left.
As you can see, the cold intermediate tires are a little bit more slippery than expected, and while that will hinder us for a bit, once the rain really starts coming down, these tires will start to come alive and will be better.
This rain could be with us for a while. Light rain conditions for the foreseeable future.
Doesn't seem like we're going to get a straight answer from Jeff, and as you can see, there's also a big pack right behind us as well. Could that mean trouble for us in the later running of this race? Who knows?
Front is 7.0 seconds. Verstappen is behind you. The gap behind us is 1.0 seconds. Your pit window opens in 8 laps time. 18 laps to go. Alright then, some information on the line. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of position. Hulkenberg ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 5.1 seconds. They're on old softs. Perez behind. Less than a second separate you. They're on old softs. Your pit window will open in 7 laps time. 17 laps to go.
As you can see, the rain is really starting to come down, as we can see that, yes, Hulkenberg and Verstappen did pass me. However, that is mostly due to the fact that these tires have not fully come alive yet, and it also is more tricky. Jeff will not give us a straight answer. Jeff will not give us a straight answer currently on which is the best tire, so now we just have to try and hold up Perez and the rest of whoever's behind us right now to hopefully not lose position.
We don't have the data for that, I'm afraid.
As you can see, a little bit of drifting action there, as these tires are still a little bit unruly in this weather, even though that they are supposed to give me more grip and traction. And as you can see, DRS has been disabled, which means that it is now fully wet conditions. And that means that these tires will start coming alive in the later laps, which means it was a good idea to go with that undercut strategy.
Sorry, we can't provide you with that information right now. You're sat in P8. Hulkenberg is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 6.8 seconds. They're on old softs. Massa behind. The gap is less than a second. They're on old softs. 6 laps until your pit window is open. 16 laps to go.
As you can see, fast forwarding a bit here, again, you can see it is still quite slippery around this track, although it does seem we do have a little bit more traction now that it is wetter out and these tires are starting to warm up. That's the big problem with these intermediate tires, is warming them up in the first place. We still have that massive pack right behind us, which is definitely going to put a little bit of pressure on us, but hopefully we will not crack under the pressure.
Okay, gap ahead is 22.7 seconds.
As you can see, Bottas now going for an overtake also on those intermediate tires. Will he make it stick? No, we shut the door on him and say, no, Bottas, you can't make it through that corner with us.
P3, you are currently in P3. Raikkonen is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 22.7 seconds. They're on fresh inters. Bottas behind, less than a second separate you. They're on fresh inters. We're expecting you in around 2 laps, and we'll be putting you on the intermediate tyres.
Even though Jeff says we're going to be going on the intermediate tires, we'll see if that is the full truth on what tire compound we're going to be going on to later in this race.
You're doing well out there, keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes.
10 minutes of rain, that's good to know, as that will be helpful for knowing, as we have to have a bit of a lock up there, full lock on the steering wheel, which is not good, kind of drifting it through that corner. That's really going to hurt our tires. However, these intermediate tires should hold up long enough to the point where it will not be a problem that we skid a little bit there. As you can see, going down this main straightaway, Bottas is still giving us a pretty hard time, as he is indeed the flying Finn. Although it seems we are just able to keep out of his sights, which is very interesting considering the fact that we are in a slower car. A lot of that rain on our front visor now showing that it is definitely becoming super wet weather out here, which means intermediate tires may seem like the best option to go on to for the next pit, as Bottas hits us in the back of the car, which is very interesting to see. I'm not sure if I turned in on him or he turned in on me, but we'll see how that plays out in the rest of the race. As you can see, still struggling for grip on these tires, which is not a good thing, again, considering the fact that we have a Mercedes behind us, which is a lot faster car than we are. And as we head into the hairpin here, we can see a big lock up into this corner. I'm surprised Bottas didn't take the opportunity to pass us through here. However, we did lose a lot of time, which means Bottas is now super close on our tail, which means that this front straightaway might be a little bit more difficult to get away from him.
Understood, stopping this lap.
Fast forwarding ahead a bit, you can see that Bottas is still very close on our tail, which again is very frightening to see. Shifting all the way down to first gear for that corner, as it seems we get passed on the side by Bottas, which is not good. That means that is another position lost. It looks like our engine has a little bit of wear on it, which means we will be down on engine power. However, letting him through might have been the better idea to do. As you can see, going down the main straightaway, we do see that Ricciardo does get closer to us into this hairpin, as he does seem to go for a lunge. However, he does also hit the back of our car, which is a little bit unsportsmanlike, but racing incidents are racing incidents.
The car ahead is 1.1 seconds. They're on old inters. Ricciardo behind. The pit window is open. Pit window currently open. There are 10 laps to go.
coming into the pit this lap. 10 laps to go. However, we did hear the rain was going to end soon, so we are going to be pitting onto these soft tires this race, as it does seem like it will be the better option later on for the rest of this race when the track does hopefully and eventually dry out.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
As you can see, these tires, slicks on wet weather terrain is not the most fun to drive. If anything, it's more of a drift fest with these tires, which means we might lose some more positions into the first couple laps before the track completely dries out. We got a big pack behind us, as we can see that these tires really aren't holding up well. Massa passes us on the left. We got this massive pack that we're holding up in the background. We lose a little bit of control there, which is not good at all for us. Trying to keep these cars stable on the soft tires right now is not the most fun thing to do. Heading down into the hairpin, it seems like Fiat is going to try and make a move on us, and we lock up on these tires and get a massive pass by everybody else as we get stuck at the back of the pack that we were currently holding up. But as you can see, most of them also tend to go into pit as well, which means that we could see more people pitting onto the harder tires.
Pit in and change yours if you think the conditions warranted. Gap to car in front is 2.1 seconds.
As you can see, Jeff is telling us, saying that we should pit in for the intermediate tires, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to stick it out on these soft tires, even though the car is a little unruly and is more of a Formula Drift car than it is a Formula 1 car at this point at time.
Daniel is in the pits now. Daniel. Radar is clear. Weather is looking good for now.
Bearline seeming to try and give us a run for our money. We can't make it stick around the outside because we don't have the faster intermediate tire on currently, so he does make it through. However, he does seem to go in and does look like he's going to be heading into the pits, possibly heading on to either another intermediate tire or maybe the softer tires. As you can see, it seems that a lot of people are also trying to pit for those tires, which means it does move us up to currently P9. Will we be able to catch up to Hulkenberg? We will have to see how this will turn out. If Hulkenberg goes into pit for softer tires, we could possibly pass by him, but who knows?
Okay, gap ahead is 23.5 seconds. Okay, distance to teammate, 9.2 seconds. We're considering switching to an alternate strategy. Do you want to change or stick to plan A? Understood, copy that.
As you can see, fast forwarding a bit through the race, you can see that Hulkenberg has switched on to the soft tires, which means he will be faster. The track is a lot more dried up, which means we do have the ability for better overtaking capabilities, but the track still isn't fully completely dry, so that means steering off of anywhere that is not the current dry line on the track means a possible spin on the slick tires. However, it does seem that our strategy did come into play by undercutting, giving us a better advantage in the long run.
The car ahead has come in and fitted the soft tyre. You're in ninth position. Hulkenberg is ahead of you. The gap to the car ahead is 5.4 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Grosjean is behind you. The gap behind us is 7.7 seconds. They're on fresh inters. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 5 laps till the end. There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
As you can see, Magnussen has overtaken Grosjean, which means that Grosjean will probably be coming into the pits this lap, since he was still on the intermediate tire, and it seems Magnussen has switched out for an even different strategy by switching on to the super soft tires instead.
The car in front is 7.1 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Magnussen is behind you. Okay, the gap behind is 24.9 seconds. They're on fresh super softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 4 laps remaining. Hulkenberg is ahead of you. 7 gap ahead is 1 seconds. They're on fresh softs. The time last lap was a 1:44.7.9 seconds. Our gap to our teammate is 28.6 seconds. laps of fuel left.
On to the later bits of this race, you can see on the final lap, Magnussen is nowhere close near us, and it doesn't look like we're going to be catching up to Hulkenberg anytime soon either. So we will see who will be the winner of this race. Will it be a Ferrari? Will it be a Mercedes? Who knows who it could be? And it looks like the race leader is going to be confirmed as Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, the Mercedes, has won this race. So for now, we just got to try and finish this race ourselves on these very worn slicks that we have put on about 10 laps ago to try and undercut the rest of the field, which seemingly worked, giving us 9th position. Whilst it isn't the points we were looking for, it definitely is a points finish and does seem to be better than our teammate, Daniel Kvyat. Down the final straightaway, we see the checkered flag, and that looks like it is going to be a confirmed 9th position for us.
I think the boss will be happy with that one.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
I'd say Max Verstappen earns that title today. Opportunistic, I think, is the word. It's something he's become known for during his short career so far, and it's served him well here.
On to the constructors then. Mercedes move to the top of the table. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Until next time though, goodbye.
As you can see, we did actually beat Daniel Kvyat and move Toro Rosso up a little bit, and it seems that our reputation level has gained a little bit as our career scores added up, and as you can see, there were flashbacks triggered, and I do have to say, I did use flashbacks, but that is only because of AI error. So, how about we move on to the next weekend so we can see did we get those upgrades? As you can see, I'm putting on a durability upgrade right now. As you can see, we're supposed to be having a power and chassis upgrade coming in.
Hi, I've got something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
And as you can see, we did get all our parts fitted. We have engine power, weight reduction, and also durability added. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode where we will be racing at Bahrain.